Hello, my name is Teresa Eng, and I'm currently teaching 7th grade mathematics at the middle school. For my action research project, I decided to ask myself, does improving learning conditions impact student achievement? Before diving into my research, I'd like to acknowledge the reasons behind why I am here. This is my why. I teach because helping others brings me joy, and I want to spread my love for learning. Watching students grow and reach their potential, as well as make connections with my learners, is what I love most about what I do. Working in Mineola, I continue to learn and grow myself. And this deliberate practice has made me a better mother, learner, teacher, wife, sister, daughter, friend, and in general, human. My research begins with Trevor Regan's self-fulfilling cycle of how to get good at stuff. If I was going to improve learning conditions in my classroom, I have to first believe that I could. Belief fuels action, action leads to growth, and growth reinforces the belief. Before I started my research on how I could get better at my craft, I decided to ask my learners what qualities they believed made a teacher better. They had some great insight for me. This is what they said. I asked my kids, and they said that qualities to make a teacher a great teacher is not quite how they teach, rather it's more how they make their students feel. Caring for students' personal lives, hobbies, activities outside of school, while teaching students how to do the subject you're teaching in a fun, creative way. Someone who listens to their students and makes learning fun, a fun opportunity, gives their students choices and interactive chances. They also told me some adjectives such as respectful, patient, caring, fun, creative, funny, smart, responsible, helpful, patient, easy to talk to, and one of the biggest adjectives they gave was nice and kind. Now that I had a good idea on what my learners expected from their teachers, I decided to take action. I was first introduced to the PERTS co-pilot program from Leslie Van Bell during our first round of professional development. This Stanford program allowed me to do a deep dive into the way I engaged my learners in the classroom. Through online student feedback, I was able to measure the quality and equity of 6 learning conditions in my classes, and then take that feedback to adapt and make changes in my practice. The 6 learning conditions are teacher caring, feedback for growth, classroom belonging, student voice, meaningful work, and affirming cultural identity. What I loved most about the PERTS program is that it not only organized and calculated the data for me, but it offered many strategies on how to improve on those learning conditions in my classroom. The students were surveyed once a cycle or once every 2 to 3 weeks. This gave me enough time to think about new ways of challenging my students to learn as much as they can, bring more meaningfulness to my lessons, get learners more comfortable in sharing their thoughts, give more opportunities for student choice, and try to introduce culture into the classroom, making sure each one of my students felt respected. After giving my learners the first cycle of surveys, I was able to see how I was rated in the 6 learning conditions. I scored the highest in teacher caring, but needed to improve upon making math more meaningful and affirming cultural identity in my class. And even though feedback for growth and classroom belonging ranked as my 2nd and 3rd best areas, I was not comfortable with the gap between those 2 learning conditions and teacher caring. In between cycle 1 and cycle 2, I decided to focus on improving my feedback for growth and classroom belonging. I would first like to discuss my journey improving my feedback. We read an article during one of our new teacher workshops called "The Secret of Effective Feedback." This quote is from that article. Feedback is only successful if students use it to improve their performance. And this is what I decided to do. Another quote that resonated with me while reading that article was, "One way of making sure the students actively use feedback is to make responding to the feedback a task in itself. So I turned my learners into detectives, and we started the class deciphering point values of 3 different attempts to the same question. Once we worked on a problem together, learners were asked to work independently and find their own mistakes. At the end of the period, I asked my learners how the experience with less feedback made them feel. And this is what they said. They said that they felt relaxed, secure, but then disappointed. Some were chill, proud, excited, exhausted, happy, satisfied, tired, frustrated, calm, at ease, pessimistic, joyful, hyper. One person said it made them understand the whole lesson, but then I got words like discouraged, pleasant, worried, good, annoyed, fuming, and troubled. In the end, though, most learners told me that the feedback was just right. They even learned something about themselves in the process. They said that I learned that I can improve on checking my work. From the experience, they said, I think I should get better at reading carefully, and I need to analyze my mistakes better. Some learned that they had to read the directions carefully. One said, if I push to get through something, I will get it done. Someone else said, I just need to read more carefully. Another said, I learned from my mistakes and I fixed them. That I have the brain to do the work, I just don't do it. I'm a great detective, and I got better at graphing inequalities on a number line. And lastly, I learned that I needed to pay more attention to the wording. I also need to get better at graphing. I thought this was an excellent way for my learners to be more self-aware of their feelings, as well as see that even after taking an exam, there is so much more learning about themselves that is yet to be done. Along with improving the way I gave my learners feedback, I also tried to improve feelings of classroom belonging. The first classroom belonging I did was on February 12th. And that's known as P.S. I Love You Day. And we spent the day complimenting each other. This activity brought a sense of togetherness. My learners sat around the room in a circle, and they wrote compliments for each and every one of their classmates. Not one student was left behind. Not only did this increase the sense of classroom belonging, it was a great way for students who had switched from virtual school to in-person to feel part of the class as well. Along with complimenting each other, I started incorporating daily check-in questions to get to know my learners better, as well as for them to get to know me better, and to show them that I'm just as human as they are. I make mistakes. I've failed. I've been in their shoes and continue to face challenges each day of my life. As Trevor Reagan says, we are built to learn through struggles and from mistakes. Embrace the fear, enjoy the challenge, and grow. I try to use these words a lot in class. During these daily check-ins, my learners know that everyone is expected to participate and listen to each other's response. Many times, because of this short exercise, students realize how much in common they have with each other and make connections with classmates they don't know too much about. At the same time, getting out of their comfort zone just a little bit. The final part in Trevor Reagan's self-fulfilling cycle of how to get good at stuff is growth. Growth reinforces belief, and my belief was definitely heightened after going through 3 cycles. After focusing on what I thought was only 2 learning conditions, turned into an improvement in all 6. Areas that I had no idea I was actually improving upon. This was such an eye-opening experience for me. So going back to my initial question, did improving the learning conditions impact student achievement? My third cycle was completed right before the end of the second trimester, and I can say that yes, I believe that it did. 85% of my students improved their trimester averages. Students felt more connected and motivated when talking about their backgrounds. The changes in classroom environment encouraged sense of community. Students learned more effectively when they were recognized, encouraged, and supported when given critical feedback. Students were more motivated to learn when they saw how class material related to their lives outside of school. Students were able to take ownership of their own learning through sharing their knowledge and perspectives in the classroom. And lastly, students engaged more deeply in their work when they felt like their teacher cared about them. This experience is something that I look forward to implementing in my classroom every year. Thank you so much for listening, and I look forward to your feedback. Have a great day.